Have you been on the fence about picking up an ultrawide monitor? Well, it's time to jump down because things are about to get vast. Hey guys, Chris from MMORPG.com here. Thanks for hanging past the cut, and we have an awesome monitor for you to look at today with the Massdrop Vast. Now this thing is excellent. It is an ultra-wide gaming monitor, and it definitely fits that description. I've spent about a week and a half, 2 weeks with this thing, and it's replacing my dual monitor setup easily. I don't think I could go back to dual monitors even if I wanted to at this point, and here's why. This is a 35-inch ultra-wide, which means 21:9 ratio gaming monitor that runs at 1440p resolution and at 100 hertz, so you're even getting some of that high refresh rate. And for the price, it is super hard, if not impossible, to find something else that's going to function at that kind of level. If you're an AMD user, it also has FreeSync, so you can take advantage of that to get rid of any of your screen tearing issues or stuff that you might encounter in different games. So it's really a fully featured display that does a great job of just drawing you into the game. And I've really come to love this thing. So let's get into a little bit about what makes this special and why you might want to consider picking one up for yourself. So starting off with the display, this is a VA panel, which means it has the best of the TN world in response time and the IPS world in color reproduction. So usually in gaming displays, you're going to find TN style panels, which means it has a really high response time, so it's great for fast-paced games, but the colors are not very good and the viewing angles are not very good. On the other end, you have IPS panels, which are excellent for colors and viewing angles. That's why they're usually used by content creators, but they're slower, which means they're not very good for gaming. Now, this VA panel has a 2 millisecond gray-to-gray response time with overdrive enabled, and it ships with overdrive enabled, so you don't have to touch anything. And it has some excellent color reproduction with 100% of the sRGB spectrum covered on this thing. In games, it looks gorgeous. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that it is a high-resolution screen with that 1440p resolution. It's actually 3440 by 1440 to account for that extra width that's on there. So that means games look really, really crisp. And that 100 hertz refresh rate means it can actually display 100 frames a second, whereas a lot of monitors out there can only display 60 frames a second. So it's just buttery smooth. Now, I was running this on a 1080 Ti and it worked really, really well. If you're on an AMD card, it has a FreeSync range of 49 to 100 hertz, which means even if you don't have a cutting-edge Vega card, you can probably push out at least 49 frames a second and take advantage of FreeSync on there to really get rid of any screen tearing or the things that you might have in your different games. But I actually shopped around quite a bit before landing on the Massdrop Vast, and in the market, you're really going to be hard-pressed to find anything that offers what this one does for the price. Now, right now, it is $550, which is about as good as it's going to come, especially for two key reasons. Number one is the stand is fantastic. It actually lets you adjust it up and down. It'll let you adjust the angle left and right, in and out. You can even turn it all the way up into a portrait mode if you wanted to use like a standing desk and be looking at it up and down for like web browsing and things. For me, I keep it in the normal landscape mode because it's replacing that dual monitor setup, which means for me, I might lose a little bit of width from having two monitors, but without having a bezel in the middle, my gaming experience is so much better. A lot of us use those two monitors, and anybody who's done it can tell you where the monitors meet, having those bezels in there really drags down the experience. It's like it's just a black bar right in the middle of your game, and who wants that? So with this, that completely gets rid of it. And it has an 1800R curve, so it really feels very immersive when you're actually playing too. Now, the other thing this has going for it is aluminum bezels all around the side. Now, these are really thin bezels, so they're not distracting when you're actually playing. And if you look around here, there is no backlight bleed at all where the screen meets the bezel, thanks to that VA panel. So you have definite improvements. Now, if we turn it around to the back, we can see this is a really super thin panel, too. A lot of the internals are stored in the back area on it, and you can see that Massdrop has actually opted to use a joystick control scheme. Now, before I picked this up, I read some reviews, I heard different things about it, and a lot of people were really critical of that joystick, but I just don't see it. I'm not sure if they've changed it or if I just got used to it easy, but within just a few minutes, I mean, literally like 5 minutes, it's really kind of intuitive, I felt. I mean, you're navigating left and right, up and down. It does not take very long to get used to a joystick, certainly no more than any other new control scheme for a monitor. So I was really kind of pleased with that. And it doubles as a power button too, and you can see it has an intentionally dim LED light, again, to free you up from distractions. All of your inputs and outputs are on the back, so you have 3 HDMIs on there as well as a display port. You're not going to get any USB pass-throughs or things like that. Now, in my case, I never really use those anyways, so I don't really care. But they are coming in to try to get this as affordably as possible while getting these core features that gamers want and need. So to sacrifice a USB port, I think is a fair sacrifice. It is something to bear in mind, though, if you are somebody who relies on having that in there. It also has a headphone jack on it, so you can plug headphones into it if you don't have speakers. Again, I really don't use it in that case. I have a nice sound system it goes to, but it's nice to see that kind of functionality built in there. Now, overall, for gaming, this thing has just been excellent. I've played it with different shooters. I've played it with RPGs. Really, I've done a whole bunch of different genres with it, and it's held up fantastically. The one thing to bear in mind is that because it does have that extra resolution, it is actually a higher resolution than a 1440p panel. So you're going to need the hardware to actually run a monitor like this. Now, especially if you're going to get a high refresh rate monitor, you're going to want to run it at that high refresh rate. So this would be a display to get with something like a 1070 or a 1080 or a Vega 64 or 56 if you are wanting to take advantage of that FreeSync on. For my part though, on a 1080 Ti, it ran fantastically. I've ran it on a 1080, it runs fantastically, and you don't really have to turn down many settings to really be able to pull that off. But obviously, the higher hardware you have in your system, the more powerful hardware you have, the better experience you're gonna have with any ultra-wide display. But especially if you're going for a 1440p, this thing looks gorgeous. It needs the horsepower to actually get it to that point though. So with that, guys, this is actually a live drop at Massdrop right now. It's a limited time, so if this appeals to you at all, you're gonna wanna go over there and jump on it right away. You can follow the link down below in the description. We'll have that there for you. And if you do go there, definitely pick it up. Let them know that MMORPG.com sent you, and we are going to go and get this thing back installed in our primary system so we can get back to some gaming. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe so you don't miss another one, and head on over to MMORPG.com to read the full written review. We're running hardware reviews anywhere from 3 to 7 times a week, so just tons of hardware content for you techies out there. And if you're into the wider scope of gaming, be sure to visit us over at GameSpace.com too, where we cover everything geek culture. And with that, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.